everyone's favorite mommy murderer. Today, I'm going to teach you how to become an absolutely legendary huntress so you can feel like you are trick-shotting on Black Ops 2 once more. For those of you new, this video is part of a series originally known as For Noobs, entirely based on Macros for Noob series, and the goal of these videos is for me to study Macros editing style and test my own editing abilities to replicate it as closely as possible, so obviously full credit goes to him. Luckily for you guys, I have permission from Macro himself to continue this series just with a different title and thumbnail, so if we reach 6,000 likes on this video, I will make another one. Anyway guys, let's learn how to use one of the most iconic characters in Dead by Daylight. Huntress's real name is Anna. Just Anna. Like she doesn't have a last name, I guess? Let's just give her the last name Atrocious Hitbox. As a girl, she lived with her mom in a very sturdy cabin in the middle of the Red Forest. A forest that feels like the size of 75 planets combined. Her mother was a fierce huntress, constantly teaching Anna how to live in the harsh and lonely woods. She understood that Anna required skill and resilience in order to survive, since they lived in an area full of dangerous animals using exhaustion perks and teabagging their prey. One year, there was a particularly difficult winter and they were running out of food, so the two decided to go out and hunt for something big, and they found a great elk. They understood the danger of this beast, dare I say more threatening than a double-range starstruck nurse, but they were desperate. They'd rather risk their lives fighting for food than die of starvation. They thought urban evasioning around the elk wouldn't alert it, but little did they know, the elk sensed their presence. It charged Anna. She froze, paralyzed in fear. Everything felt like it was in slow motion. The elk's hooves were pounding the snow as it got closer and closer. There was a blood-curdling scream. Anna's mother had thrown herself in front of the elk to protect her. She saw her mother's chest impaled by the elk's antlers. Her mom frantically stabbed her axe into the beast's head in an attempt to free herself. The elk finally collapsed. Anna ran over to her mother, who told her that everything was going to be okay. To distract her from the cries of the dying elk, she hummed Anna's favorite lullaby until the elk grew silent, her mother doing the same. Anna was now alone in the silent forest. As she grew up, she became stronger and matured her hunting skills. She grew tired of the squirrels and foxes she usually hunted and started to search for bigger game. Wolves and bears were her next victims until she discovered her new prey. Baby Dwights. Unlucky travelers who entered her territory were slaughtered like an animal. However, she couldn't bring herself to do this to the little girls. She felt something deep in her heart whenever she looked at them. She would even put on masks of animals to try to calm them. Then she would tie them to the wall by their neck because she knew that she couldn't let them go or else they'd die in the woods. But they literally would just die of cold or starvation or sickness. So what was even the point of that? The legend of a half-beast lurking in the Red Forest was spread amongst nearby villages. The rumor was that there was a huntress who killed men and ate little girls. But these villagers quickly disappeared as German soldiers attacked the collapsing Russian Empire where they resided. Soon, the forest was silent once more, littered with the bodies of German soldiers marked with many axe wounds. And that is the story of Anna Atrocious Hitbox. Did I make that too dramatic? Huntress's power is extremely simple, so it'll be really easy to understand for a noob like you. She throws hatchets as a range attack that can make a survivor instantly lose a health state. This simple ability allows her to do some crazy things. She can make windows much more dangerous, forcing survivors to try to dodge her hatchets or bait her to throw them. But the cooldown from hitting a survivor with a hatchet is faster than hitting them normally, so ideally you want to always hit them with a hatchet first so they don't gain as much distance. Luckily for you, survivors now get 10% less distance after they're hit, so you'll be able to down them even faster. A crucial part to getting hits with your hatchets is to wait until they're fully charged. To get a hatchet fully charged, you have to hold it out for 3 seconds and then it'll make a little shing sound. This means that your hatchet will not only fly farther, but it'll also fly significantly faster, making it harder for survivors to dodge. But knowing you, you'll still miss anyway. Pro tip from FaZe Kyto: if you want to hit your shots better and the survivor is trying to dodge in a zigzag motion, keep your camera completely still rather than tracking the survivor's movements. Then throw the hatchet when the survivor comes in front of where you're aiming. This will make it much easier to hit your target. The Huntress is a very strong killer in the right hands. Sorry, left-handed people. So here are some strengths of her ability that you should take advantage of. Anti-loop. Although she doesn't have typical anti-loop, she can still make chases end very quickly with her hatchets since you could throw them over windows and pallets. This is really helpful because I know you don't know how to loop normally. Quick downs. If you're close to a survivor and you hit them with a hatchet, they will gain very little distance, which will allow you to catch up to them and down them extremely quickly. Snowball potential. Since the cooldown on throwing hatchets isn't that bad, you can down multiple people very fast if you can hit your shots, which means that one of her biggest strengths is the basement. Unfortunately for the survivors, Huntress absolutely excels in patrolling the basement. She can hit someone coming up the stairs with a hatchet and down them before they can even make it to the top of the stairs. This makes her very oppressive in basement situations, on top of the fact that she can easily reload from the basement lockers. But don't be that person that camps, you noob. There are also many perks that she synergizes really well with, most of them just assisting her in some small ways. Bitter Murmur, Floods of Rage, Barbecue and Chili, Darkness Revealed, and Discordance are all very good information perks if you want to go for long shots. Then there's Nurse's Calling, because you can hit survivors from far away when they think they're healing in a safe position. Enduring, because it's better to just walk through the pallets instead of assuming that the survivor's going to throw it. Spirit Fury, if you're going to use Enduring. Hex Blood Favor, because it can block pallets from far away if you hit that person from far away. Hex Retribution, to go for long shots and to maybe get hatchet hits while the survivor is looping you. I'm All Ears, for the same reason as Retribution. Iron Maiden, to make reloading 50% faster, as well as to counter anyone trying to counter your Barbecue and Chili. Lethal Pursuer, to extend the auras of any other aura reading perk or add-on, plus it's just fun to go for a cross-map hatchet right when the game starts. Monitor and Abuse, to make your tear radius extremely small at 12 meters. And lastly, Shadowborn, because it looks sexier than if Markiplier and Ryan Reynolds had a baby. Her biggest weakness is you. Huntress is a pretty difficult killer to play because she requires you to build a lot of muscle memory and understand timing, so her main weakness is just not having the feel for her muscle memory. A little noob like you might be able to get downs with her up close, but if you want to become a legendary Huntress like I said you'd be earlier in the video, you need to put in a lot of practice. There's nothing that I can say or do that'll help you get the muscle memory of this killer. Mobility. Since the Huntress moves at 4.4 meters per second compared to the normal movement speed of 4.6 meters per second, it's harder for you to traverse the map and apply pressure, especially considering that she doesn't have any sort of power to increase that mobility. This also means that she doesn't pair very well with many gen regression perks since it takes her longer to actually get to those gens. Hatchet management. You need to always have hatchets on hand because without them, you're worse than a normal killer with no power. So make sure that you always reload hatchets at good times, like after you hook someone or down someone, for example. Connected tiles. If there are two loops connected with really good windows, you should try to stay away from this area. With her slow movement speed, you likely won't be able to have time to pull up a hatchet before a survivor vaults the next window, so you'll be very weak. It's better to just completely abandon a chase here and try to find somebody else. Unless you notice that the survivor is pretty bad and you think that you'll be able to down them. Her lullaby. The Huntress has a lullaby that plays for 45 meters around her at all times, making any stealthy plays or perks irrelevant. Plus, it gives survivors about an extra 3 more seconds to run away if they know you're coming to them, because it's practically a tear radius that's 13 meters larger than normal. Huntress has a lot of add-ons that are very good, or just have small bonuses that'll save you little bits of time throughout the match. Here are some of my recommendations that I think you should use. Her best add-on in my opinion is Infantry Belt, which allows you to carry 2 additional hatchets, upping it to a total of 7. This somehow used to work with the Iridescent Head, allowing her to have 3 insta-down hatchets, which was absolutely insane, and it took them like 5 years to nerf this. Leather Loop is the same thing as Infantry Belt, but it only allows you to carry 1 extra hatchet instead of 2. If you like going for cross-map hatchets, I would recommend using the glowing concoction. Oh no. This shows the aura of the survivor for 5 seconds when you hit them with a hatchet, which can help you go for some insane shots if you get a hit from far away. Flower Babushka and the Grass Braid reduce your windup time by 12% and 8% respectively. Venomous Concoction applies 5-second exhaustion to any survivor you hit with a hatchet, so they won't be able to use exhaustion perks mid-chase. Oak Haft and Bandage Haft reduce the cooldown duration in between hatchet throws by 20% and 10% respectively. This is really good for hitting multiple consecutive shots if, for example, the survivors are coming out of the basement. And lastly, if you want to have a different playstyle, you can put on both iridescent add-ons, which will make it so that you only have 1 hatchet, but that hatchet will always put the survivor into a dying state, and then after you throw the hatchet, you become a regular 4.6 meters per second killer until you reload. The Huntress has some of the worst teachable perks in the entire game. Like, they're genuinely worse than the launch of Cyberpunk. So it's honestly not even worth leveling her up for the perks. Beast of Prey makes you undetectable whenever you have Bloodlust, but Bloodlust is so rare, and even if you do have undetectable, it's not that big of a deal because they'll still hear the chase music. Plus, you could just moonwalk to hide your red stain, so losing a red stain doesn't matter either. Territorial Imperative shows the auras of any survivor that enters the basement when you're far away, which is obviously absolutely terrible. And her best perk is by far Huntress Lullaby, which essentially gives the survivors harder skill checks the more hooks you get, but this doesn't really do anything if they're like even barely paying attention. Plus, it's a hex perk, so they can cleanse it anyway. The Huntress is one of the simplest yet most balanced killers in the entire game. Both sides have fair counterplay apart from the occasional bad hitboxes, but that's with any killer. She's also one of the most fun killers once you get good at her because you can go for insane shots and cross maps that are extremely satisfying to hit. That was kind of hot, I'm not gonna lie. Check that out. Oh! She's also a fairly strong killer because she can down multiple survivors very quickly and can get hits from large distances, but you need to stay away from those loops with a lot of windows and always pay attention to your hatchet count to make sure you're stocked. She synergizes very well with aura reading perks and other information perks because she can get hatchet hits from far away when survivors aren't expecting it, but she has trouble utilizing stealth perks due to her massive lullaby and also has a hard time using regression perks due to her lacking mobility. The Huntress has many add-ons that are useful in small ways without completely changing the way she works, the best ones giving her more hatchets or speeding up her wind-up time. And lastly, she has some of the absolute worst teachable perks in the entire game, and you should never use these apart from maybe Huntress Lullaby with an impossible skill check doctor build. In conclusion, Huntress is pretty easy for noobs. If you guys want me to make more of these types of videos, go drop a like and then comment how to something down below. Again, this can be any killer or survivor, or even more specific things like perks, maps, or offerings. Again, let's try to hit that goal of 6,000 likes and I will make another one. But anyways, that's it for this video, so I'll catch you later. Ya noob!